When you think ordinary, God thinks extraordinary. When you just want to have enough to get by, God wants to give you abundance. When you want to manage addiction, God wants to set you free from addiction. God specializes in exceeding expectations. He is the impossibility specialist. He does the impossible. The Bible records that God can do super abundantly more than all that you dare ask or think, infinitely beyond your greatest prayers, hopes, or dreams, to His power that is at work in you. Those problems before you that seem insurmountable, God can bring them down. When we seek God, sometimes we forget that His power can exceed our expectations. God can do so much more than you could ever ask or imagine. The best thing that the woman with the issue of blood who was chronically sick could have imagined when she reached out to touch the hem of Jesus' garment was to be healed. But when she met Jesus, He did even more than she expected. He stopped and gave her the privilege to testify of her healing among the people. More than healing, Jesus gave her freedom and peace. He made her whole, and all that she had lost was restored to her. When you see God's help or intervention, how do you expect Him to deliver? Make an outrageous request. Take some time to imagine what God's intervention in your situation could result in. Then take time to ask Him for it. Rest in the truth that God's power exceeds your expectations. God will not sleep over your case. God will not rest until He accomplished that which He has said about you. Has God made a promise to you and it seemed it's never going to happen? When God speaks, He sees to it that it is fulfilled. The words He speaks do not go back to Him void. They'll never return to Him without producing any result or effect. They will surely fulfill the purpose with which He sent it. When you're faced with a problem that seems insurmountable, it's only God you can run to. In the face of life's struggles and challenges, having done all that we know to do to solve the problem, but not getting the results you desire, especially if you've been battling with such a problem for a very long time, it's easy to think nothing can be done to turn the situation around. Or maybe those problems are meant to be in your life. But I tell you that it's not God's plan that problems should come and dwell in your life. They should be temporary and not permanent. God has promised you deliverance from every form of affliction. He loves you too much to see you in pain or watch you suffer. He is ever ready and willing to help you. Do not believe the lie of the devil that some problems are beyond God's power to solve. That's not true. He is the sovereign Lord. He made the heavens and the earth by His great power and outstretched arm. Nothing is too hard for Him. Whatever God has spoken concerning your life, hold on to those words, because God will work tooth and nail to ensure that it comes to pass. Has God given you a promise that is yet to be fulfilled, or are you experiencing the opposite of the promise you've received? Do not be discouraged. God is working to settle you. Trust God even when life doesn't make sense, because He's working everything out for your good. God may seem silent, but that does not mean He has walked away. He is working in the background. Delay is not denial. God is there for you, and He's working tirelessly for your sake. Do not be discouraged. Do you know why God will work overtime for your sake? It's because of His love for you. His love for you will not let Him fold His arms while you suffer. He's working nonstop to ensure that you're comfortable and live life according to His will and purpose. You are the apple of His eyes and the thoughts that fill His heart every time. You're so special to Him that He'll do anything for your sake. Whatever area of your life that you need God's intervention, trust Him that He's working on it, and very soon you will have countless testimony. God still works. John 5 verse 17 says, "But Jesus answered them, 'My Father has been working until now, and I have been working.'" This is evidence that even up till now, God still works in heaven. So if God is a worker, what kind of work does He do? By the very nature of God, He is a worker. He has created all things and He sustains His creation. Beyond God's work in creation, what kinds of work does He do today? God does different types of work. He does the redemptive work, which is God's saving and reconciling actions. He does the creative work, which is God's fashioning of the physical and human world. He does the provisional work, which is God's provision for and sustaining humans and creation. He does the justice work, which is God's maintenance of justice. God is referred to as the judge of the earth. He also does compassionate work. This is God's involvement in comforting, healing, guiding, and shepherding. And lastly, he does the revelatory work. It has to do with God's work to enlighten with the truth. Knowing the kinds of work God does in heaven, you'll agree with me that God is busy in heaven. God has proven time and time again that there's nothing too hard for him to do, even for your sake. Romans 8 verse 32 says, "He who did not withhold or spare even his own son, but gave him up for us all, will he not also with him freely and graciously give us all other things?" You see, God has given you the best of all that he has, and that is his dear son, Jesus Christ. He gave him up for your sake. That means when God wanted to rescue you, he did not give it a second thought before sending his only begotten son to die a shameful death for your sake. If God has done the most difficult thing that can be done for your sake, do you think he'll find it hard to work overtime for your sake? Think of a wealthy and prosperous man who's willed all that he has, including his properties, to his only son. But the son is scared to even take permission to use his father's car. You'd say the child does not know who he is and his privileges, right? Yes. The same applies to when you think there are some problems in your life that God will not attend to. If God gave up his son, how will he not willingly work overtime to bring solutions to the issues in your life? If God gave up his only son to save your soul, how will he not also do all that it takes, even if it means working overtime, for your sake, to save your marriage? If he did not spare his son, how will he not heal and give you perfect health? God will freely and graciously give and do all that you need for you. I know you have things that you're trusting God for, like your dreams to come to pass and problems to turn around. You would be happy if things work out the way you want. The ways of God are not the same as men. What you have in mind is not God's best.